Hey Overland Travel Adventurers, today we are inside the vintage 1960 Shasta Airflight, and I've had some questions and some thoughts that I wanted to share with the community about how I power the Shasta when we're out camping. And so underneath the bench seat, I've taken the bench seat off, but underneath the bench seat there's a little slider door here, and behind that door I have the Goal Zero Yeti 1000 that I got at Costco, about $1,000, and it was a couple of years ago, and so I've had it for probably 3 years. I think you can still buy it at Costco. You can look at it, or you can buy directly from Goal Zero. They have a 1400 that has more capacity, but this lithium ion battery setup is super cool. The first thing is it can take input from solar right here, and I have the Boulder 100 solar briefcase from Goal Zero. So I'll plug it in here. I'll run it up the back and out the window, just right through the slats there, and then I'll just plug it in and put it outside. So that works pretty well, and that'll start charging the battery. It also has some 12 volt that you can hook up. It has 4 USB ports on the front. And the most important thing is it has 120s. Let's see if I can move it here. It has the 120 outlets right here, and it has 2 of them. And what's important is that is 1500 watts, 3000 watt surge, which means you can pretty much power anything off of this battery. So for example, something that I'll use that uses a ton of power and watts and amps when it turns on is a portable air pump to fill up our kayaks. I can fill those up. It'll run that pump, no problem. It'll also run the ARB refrigerator, no problem, and it'll run the whole power for the trailer when we're out camping. And what I've done is I've swapped out the lights with just regular LED light bulbs. So that light and then the light over the dinette have LED light bulbs, and so they are very low power draw. I just dropped this Goal Zero in. It's got handles on the top so you can lift it out, and it's got nice rubber feet on the bottom, and the inverter and everything's all in one system, and it's plug and play. You can't really make a mistake. When I'm at home, what I do is I plug in the outside power, and I'll show you that here in a second. But I just plug in the outside power with an extension cable, and it comes into the back here to this outlet, and then I just plug the Goal Zero into that outlet, and it keeps the battery charged at all times. If I'm at a campground that has power, I'll just plug it in and it'll keep the Goal Zero battery charged as well. This is the side of the Goal Zero, and you can see that it's got 2 fans right here and here, and those will turn on if the battery starts getting hot. These are the M6 bolts and washers that I use to mount it when it's in the Jeep. So I put this on a tray in the back of the Jeep, and I just put these washers on with an M6 bolt, and that screws up into the foot, and that will hold this battery in even when we're off-roading. It's got a nice readout on the front that'll tell you how much power is left in the battery. And again, here's your 2 120s, your 4 USBs, your 12 volt, and then your input for solar or your input for just regular power. Cover your ears, this might get loud. I'm going to turn on my rigid portable vac that I got at Home Depot. It's plugged into the Goal Zero. I don't have anything else plugged into it, no power, no nothing. It's just straight battery, but I'll show you how this thing will... So the battery fans just kicked on when it hits that heavy load. Looks like when I first kicked it on, it spiked at about 1200 watts. Then it settled down to about 800 watts. That's a pretty big draw. So this battery works great for stuff like that. So again, filling pumps. I actually bring this Home Depot vacuum here because it's really easy to bring, and then I can clean out the trailer really quick with it. So there we go. I just set the Goal Zero back underneath the seat in the Shasta. You can see the water tank over there to the right, and then the battery just fits in there perfectly. And it doesn't slide around because it has the rubber feet. So when I'm home with power, or if I'm at a campsite with power and we're plugged in with the extension cord outside, that feeds this outlet right here. So it's a 120 volt outlet, just got it at Home Depot with a box, wired it into the system. And then I'll just plug the cable that comes with the Goal Zero into this box and then into the Goal Zero. Let me show you. So I'll just plug it in. There we go. And then I'll just feed the cable to the front. And then it plugs in on the input right up here. Okay. So then that will just start trickle charging the battery, and it has its own software in there so it knows when to charge it, how much to charge it. So you're supposed to keep it plugged in at all times. So it'll discharge a little bit, and then as you can see, it'll just start charging itself when it knows it needs to. So that's the basic setup of how I do it at home. And then let me show you a couple of other things that I do. So when I'm in a campground that doesn't have power, we're dry camping, I have a short black extension cord. And what I'll do with this extension cord is I will plug it in to the 120 on the battery, okay? And then I will run this cable back behind the oven and out the window, and I'll plug it back into itself. So I'll unplug the power that's feeding it from the junction box into the battery. I'll unplug that, and then I'll just plug this in on the outside of the trailer, just like I was plugging into power at the house. And what'll happen is it will feed back through and power the entire trailer. All the lights, everything come off of that circuit. So it's basically plugging the battery into the trailer from the inside outside. It's a little janky, I guess, because you have an extension cord running out, but it's super easy. And it doesn't look that bad. I don't go on that side of the trailer when we're camping anyway. So I just feed it, plug it in, and then it powers the entire trailer so I can run all my lights and anything else without any hassle or rewiring or headaches. So the other thing that I have is just a power strip up here on top that we can charge our mobile phones or any other devices, walkie-talkies, etc. So I have a little power strip, and I just put that on the edge of the table. And then that it can either plug into the junction box or it can plug into the extra 120 outlet here on the Goal Zero. Either way works, because I'm going to feed the power either back through or it's coming off of this when we're at home or at a campsite with power, so that works. One of the things that's really slick is if you don't know much about solar panels and solar power and all this, like I didn't when I first got all this stuff, but I wanted solar, Goal Zero makes it dead easy. It's plug and play. They have these jacks, so you don't use Anderson cables, you just use their plug, and it will plug into the input on the Goal Zero right there. And then this is the extension cable, so then I'll take this, run it out again behind the stove, out the window to the Boulder 100 panel, and then that will then use that panel to charge. So just to show you what I mean is, here's the extension cable for the solar panel, and it just runs up. And when I say behind the stove, it's not going to get hot or get cooked. It actually just runs behind this little tray that holds all of our food products, and then it just goes out the window, and then I'll plug it into the Boulder panel and show you how that works. This is the outlet I was talking about that's on the outside of the trailer, and so when I'm home, it's just plugged into an extension cord. So that'll charge the battery and power the trailer when we're parked at home or if we're at a campsite with power. This is the Goal Zero extension cable coming out the window. So you see it's not that big of a deal. It's a little thin cable. Now, if we're running off the battery for the whole trailer, also have the extension cord coming out from this window down to the electrical outlet. So the trailer will basically plug into itself from the battery. And then it's nice to have this extension cable because it just gives you more room to move the panel around, because sometimes you're chasing the sun when you're camping, so you get the maximum amount of solar. This is the Goal Zero Boulder 100 briefcase solar panel, and it locks into itself. It's very sturdy. I can even throw this in the back of the Jeep, so I've got a place for that, and it's been very, very rugged. It comes with this little case. I'll take it out and set it up with the extension. There's a couple clips right here on the top. Slip those, and it will open up, and you'll see there's some legs that you fold out, and then we'll plug it in. These are the legs. They fold out and give the panel a good angle. And you have the extension cable here. You have the extension cables. So this one's going to the trailer, to the battery, and this one's from the solar panel. And as you can see, this is about as plug and play as it gets. Let me just plug these in. Just like that. Okay. So now we've connected the solar briefcase solar panel to the battery. Let's go see how it's charging. Okay, so now I'm back inside the trailer, and we can see that the panel is putting out 18 watts, which isn't a lot. There's some cloud cover. I'm in my backyard with the fence and stuff, so it doesn't have the perfect shot of the sun right now. But anyway, 17, 18 watts are feeding in, and you can see that it's charging up the battery. The most I've ever seen the panel do is about 40 to 50 watts. So if you're going to buy a panel, divide it by 2, and that's about as much output as you're ever going to get. I also have a second Goal Zero battery. This is a Yeti 150, and I got this early on, and there's a lot of things that it won't power, but it's actually pretty good for lights, charging phones, and some basic stuff. The other thing that it'll do is it actually runs my fantastic fan in the trailer. Watch this. So that's running off this Yeti 150. And it's a smaller battery, and it also runs some LED lights that I've got strung around. I just got these off Amazon. They're like $8-9, and I just strung these little LED fairy lights around the top, so it'll provide some nice mood lighting at night, and I can just come up here and turn that on or off. I just keep this flipped up here in the cupboard. It takes up some space, but not too bad, and then I can charge that from the Goal Zero 1000 below. So I just plug that into the Goal Zero, and it'll charge that battery. So I hope this video helped. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please just put a comment in the section below, and be sure you like and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.